What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. I haven't made a video in a while, but as you can see, things have scaled quite a bit. I've been reselling on eBay and Mercari mostly, so a little bit of Poshmark as well. The last like 6 months, I was doing furniture reselling for the last couple of years, and I really didn't make any content about that. But I started selling stuff online just because it fit my life a little bit better. Time wise, it was a lot less um, demanding, I guess is the way to say it. I don't have to meet people in person. I can ship when I want. I can source when I want. But we're going to go over some things that I've learned, I guess, in this like 6 months of being a full-time seller, because this is my main source of income. So I kind of just went in it because my wife was like, give it a shot. Worst thing that happened, you go back to reselling furniture and all is well in the world. So I did. Things went a little bit better than I could have expected. And now I have scaled to about an 800 item store, really focusing on high sell through rate items with a $20 profit margin per item is my goal. Obviously, those are numbers I want to, continue to grow. I want my average profit to be higher, and I want to have a higher sell through rate. I always want those to be better. But I am pleased with how I've done in the last 6 months. It's been a giant learning curve because I literally went from knowing like very, very, very little about what has value and how to profit on it, how to ship, how to handle customer service, how to handle returns, all these things that you don't really think about when you go into reselling. And I guess I would, maybe share some of that brief experience with you guys. And my name is Dylan. I've been flipping stuff for like since I was like 15, 16 years old. I'm 24 now. Um, and it's addicting. It's a rush that hard to match. Um, and it's really fun, especially when it's a win-win. When you find something that someone was wanting to move, so just get rid of it, or they think is junk or whatever, and then you find it a buyer for it who just cherishes it, gets a good deal. They save a little money depending on what you buy or whatever you're selling. They could be saving a little money. They could be getting something that like they don't make anymore or they cherish from their childhood or whatever. He makes money in between. You save things from being destroyed. And you help a couple people out. That's the goal. The goal is a win-win-win. Win for the person you're buying from, win for you, and a win for the person you sell to. So anyway, while I talk about some of the things that I learned in these last 6 months, let's go ahead and grab some items that I need to ship. I have about 6 items today, or I guess this afternoon, so it's been a pretty good afternoon. At around 10 to 15 items sold in a day, which is great. That's a good average for me. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. I've had my ups and downs. We can go over those numbers later if you guys really want to, but I'm gonna pack some orders, ship some stuff here while I talk to you. So I guess we'll talk about sourcing first because what did I say? Because sourcing is the skill here. Everything else can be sourced out. Like I could source my shipping out. Um, I could source my listing out if I want to. But sourcing is really what allows me to do this, is because I am working on finding the things. I'm working at getting better at finding the things that have value that most people will overlook, if that makes sense. And the only way to get better at that, I would say, is practice. Just going out every day, looking for things that have a high sell-through rate with a decent profit margin. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I am the world's greatest reseller by any means. I have ran into a couple people that I just try to pick their brains every time I see them because they've been reselling for a lot longer than I have, and they know a lot more than I do. But the more that you go and the more items that you look up, the better you get at your knowledge of things that are valuable. And so it becomes second nature for you when you walk into places, and you can kind of get a sense of, at least I know things in this category are going to sell well. Let me double check the blank. Like for example, I've been starting to do a lot more kitchen appliances And I know blender bases do well. Depending on the model, the pitcher can do well, the blade can do well, the lid can do well. Um, and you just learn that by looking up one blender base and you realize, oh, that actually sells for a good amount of money. It's got a decent sell-through rate. And then you figure out brands and stuff like that from there, and so on. The same principle goes on for any other category, whether it's tools, whether it's clothes, whether it's books, whether it's electronics or whatever. You just have to put in the reps, really. And as you put in the reps, you get better, and you become more able to find things to sell, I guess, if that makes sense. So that's like been the biggest thing, is just the tediousness of looking up every item and learning. It's a lot of work. There's a reason not everybody's doing this, and honestly, there's a lot of days when I'm like, man, am I even like, is this even the right thing for me? Because it is up to this it has its ups and downs, and some days you're finding everything, you're on a roll, and then some days you just couldn't find anything, and that happens. And I assume, and can probably testify, the longer I've been doing this, the less it has happened, because like I said, I'm learning more categories and I'm getting a little bit better every single day at what has value. So that has been a big learning curve for me, but I'm getting a little smarter every day, so that's kind of cool. And I am figuring out ways to raise my average price and my average profit per item I sell. And then there's other small things like that you can learn online. If you're watching this video, you're probably used to, I guess, know what I'm talking about in terms of the vast wealth of information that the internet holds, to get better at this specific thing of reselling. I guess the next thing I'd want to talk to you guys about is customer service, because unfortunately this is, well, I guess not unfortunately, bad way to look at it. This is a customer service job. You have everyone you sell to is your customer, and it's hard to fathom that because you don't see them, you don't meet them, you don't talk to them physically. Maybe they send you a message or two, but it's not the same. Like when I was selling furniture, I had tried to build a rapport with the person I would sell to, and to see if what I was selling was even a good fit for them. And it's so detached from that. It's easy to forget that that person on the other end of your purchase is trying to solve a problem, and you're kind of trying to help them solve that problem. And that can be really frustrating, especially when things out of your control lead to negative reviews or returns, or honestly just people sending you nasty messages and stuff. And that's no fun for anybody. But I've learned a couple things there. Number one is to just have a smooth process when it comes to returns. I set up a automatic message when someone has a problem with something they bought from me, and they're complaining about, I did this, they did that, like whatever. And I try to be as transparent as I possibly can in my listings, but sometimes things just don't work out, and you got to be okay with that. And so you set up a system. You set up an automatic message. Hey, I'm so sorry this isn't working out for you. If you'd like to start a return, here's how you do it, step by step. Have ChatGPT do it for you. Have Gronk do it for you, whatever. And then take your emotions out of it and just budget for those returns. Budget for that, and anticipate that. So when it happens, it's not a big deal. And honestly, most of the time, when you get a return, you will get that. If you get the item back in good condition, you can resell it. It'll sell. If it sold once, it's going to sell again. And it's not a big deal. You maybe lose out on the original shipping, and you move on. It's cost of doing business. I'm not saying it's fun. I'm not saying I like it, but it's not worth getting worked up for. I used to get so worked up. And honestly, this item right here, I sold, and it had an error on it. I don't know, for whatever reason. it wasn't working for the customer. Some sort of provider needed to access it, and they sent it back to me. It was a $350 return. I listed it with a disclaimer of what the customer told me, and I got it sold at a discount. Still made money on it, made a little less money on it, but it's, you're not going to go broke making money. So stuff like that, you just have to understand that at the end of the world, and more than likely you'll still be able to turn it for a profit. So that's been a big thing. It's easier said than done, especially when you work really hard to get um, sales. So I guess the last thing that I learned is the potential with eBay. It really, or selling online, reselling online. You don't have to just sell on eBay, but the potential selling online is so much more than you possibly think it is. It's crazy because, like I said, when I was selling locally furniture, I was limited to. Sorry, big. I was limited to the people in my city, and I still made a full-time living selling to the people in my city. So now that I have access to a worldwide network to sell things, if you find those things that are in demand, they will move. They will move eventually, and especially if you're looking for items that will sell at a decent sell-through rate, there's a demand for some of the things that you couldn't even fathom. I guess I sell things all the time that I'm like just baffled by that they have value. And that's been a really eye-opening thing for me. Um, and I think it's actually really fascinating the way this world works, and how I guess people are hired and the interest they have, and you know what makes somebody want to actually spend money for an item. I guess I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But anyway, I've been um, contemplating getting back on YouTube, and I have been putting it off for a while. So trying to get this channel back up and going. Hopefully, you guys can come along this journey with me, and we can go over some different things that are of interest to you. And I can learn some things from you guys too, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know everything, but I don't know nothing also. So if you like this video, and you are into reselling, and you want another guy to either pick their brain, or you know just be if you want another person to learn from, I'm here. Do me a favor, subscribe, and hopefully I can share some of my mistakes with you guys so that you can avoid making them. And then I can also learn from things you guys have done as well, especially when I have obscure things with eBay, because they come and they happen. But really appreciate you guys even clicking on this video. If you would do me a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.